All right, everyone, welcome to this workshop on creating responsive web design. Thank you all for joining. I'll first show you what are the things that we're going to learn today, and then we will start the workshop. Okay, we're going to basically look at these three example files. Okay, so I'll show you the first one. So the first one is basically a simple website where you have four different div tags or four different columns. And then if I just try to make that bigger or smaller, it's going to basically adjust with the size that we have while maintaining same amount of space between the left and right. Okay, that's something that we have created earlier. We'll see how to make sure that it always maintains the same size. And the second one is going to be the same thing, but when it goes beyond a certain size. Okay, so if you push it further down here to a size where it is viewable on a mobile phone. Okay, so instead of just aligning it in the horizontal way, it is basically going to reorient to a vertical alignment. So that is going to be our second example. So the first one is going to be just having the adjustable size, and the second one is going to be making it both for a desktop screen and for a mobile phone screen. And the third one, we're going to basically create an entire website, which is going to fit into a 3-column structure on a desktop. And when I move it to a mobile phone version, it's going to put everything into a single straight column. Okay, so we have the header up here, and then we have the menu items, and then we have the center content, and then we have the third column, which was in the site. Okay, so put everything like that, and if I make it into a desktop mode, what it's going to do is it's going to make all these things into 3 different columns. Okay, so those are the things that we're going to do. Now, before that, let's first get an understanding of why do we need to make our website responsive. Okay, so we have already learned that websites are not like designs that we do for posters or things like that using Photoshop or something like that. Okay, so websites are going to be viewed by different people in different parts of the world using different computers, and they might have different screen sizes, they might have different speeds of internet connection also. So all these things we have to keep in mind when designing a website. Okay, so in old days when the internet came, everybody was using just a computer, desktop, and nowadays we have most of the people who use internet, they are using it from a mobile phone. Okay, so mobile phone has got a couple of issues. Number one, the screen aspect ratio, instead of a widescreen or landscape mode, we have a portrait mode. Okay, and the second thing is it is so small. So even if I create a full-size website that is going to be for desktop and shrink it to a smaller size, it won't be optimal for a mobile phone to view. Okay, so what would happen is like the picture or the text will become too small, shrunken down, so we won't be able to read it on a mobile phone browser. So what we have to do is we have to make 2 different types of designs. So first design is going to be for the desktop version, and the second design is going to be for the mobile version. Okay, so instead of doing a complete design change, what we can do is we can use CSS to say that, okay, if you have a smaller screen, then make it look like this, and if it is a bigger screen, make it look like this. Okay, so in a way, when we plan it, we have to plan it in 2 different ways, one for desktop and one for mobile. And when we do the sketches in terms of our visualization sketches, you have to design 2 different types of sketches. But when it comes to Dreamweaver work, it's going to be a bit more simple than creating 2 entirely different website pages. Okay, fine. So let's go ahead and open up Dreamweaver and start designing our work. Okay, so once you open up Dreamweaver, you need to have a folder for your entire project, your website. Okay, so for assignment 1, have a separate folder, and assignment 2, have a separate folder. Okay, so in my case, it's a folder that is in my D drive, and it's called responsive workshop. Okay, so I will highly recommend that you avoid desktops or My Documents or any of these places to have your files. Better to have a D drive, a separate drive other than the C drive, if you have one. And there you can create a folder, and this folder is going to have your project file. Now, that means like any images that you use in this project also should be placed in the same location. Your CSS file has to be placed in the same location. And anything related to your website, images, anything that you have, you will have to put them in this folder. Okay. Now, in all these three examples, I have kept my CSS in the HTML itself, just to keep things simple and just view the whole thing as a single page. But for your assignments, you will have to have two files. Okay, one is your HTML file, and the second one is going to be a CSS file. Now, this has one of the major advantage, that is like even if you have multiple pages, you can use the same CSS file. Okay, so you will have a home page, you will have an about us page, you will have a main page, you will have gallery. In all these, for all these different pages, you can use a single CSS file so that your head, your menu items, your footer, all those things will remain the same, because you don't have to recreate the whole thing. And if there's a change that you want to do on one, it will automatically affect in all of them. So for example, you want to change the header color, right? So if you just change it in the CSS, it will automatically change in all the pages. You don't have to go to every page and make those changes. Okay, so just for our demonstration, I'm using it as a single file with HTML and CSS. But for your assignment, you have to have a HTML file separate and a CSS file separate. All right, so once we have our project folder and we have our content in there, we have to tell Dreamweaver that this is my folder, and make sure that whatever you do for this project or this website, you have to take all the content from this place only, right? So to say that, we have to go to site and choose new site. Now, depending on what kind of computer configuration that you have, if you're using your laptop, probably you just have to do it one time. Okay, so the next time you open Dreamweaver, it will automatically remember that settings. Okay, sometimes our college have VDI machines, which actually refreshes everything the moment you log off. So when you log in, Dreamweaver is not going to know that you have a project folder being set. Okay, so you will have to do this every time you log in if you have that kind of situation. So if I go to site and choose new site, here we can give a name, and we need to browse to the folder that we want. Okay, so once you do that and hit save, and that is what you will see here. Okay, so if I go to this files window, and there you will find the folder that we have connected, and all the content that is inside that folder is going to be shown here. Okay, now I have Dreamweaver 2021, I guess. If you have an older version of Dreamweaver, you might have to find this in different places. If you don't find these files, you can go to Window, and there you will find files. Okay, so turn that on. Sometimes it's down here, sometimes it's up here, wherever it is, search for it and find it. Now, sometimes when you add a picture, a new picture, it may not show here in the files window. So if it does not show, then you can click on this little refresh button. Okay, some versions, I think it's up here, so you need to find this refresh button. Okay, so once you refresh, it would show up as well. All right, so let's go ahead and create our first sample file. Okay, so this is a finished one, so we're going to start with a blank one. So I'll go to File, choose New, and HTML, and we can just leave that blank, no problem. Create. Okay, so we have a simple HTML file here, and I'm just going to create a couple of boxes. So I'll say div class equals, and this is going to be called as box. Okay, so let's say box, and the box is going to be closed like that. So I basically need 4 different boxes, right? So copy that and paste, paste, paste. Okay, so after the workshop, I will share these files with you so you can experiment and practice by yourself. Okay, so once I've done that, I just want to have my CSS as well. So I'll go inside my head section, and I'm going to say style. And inside that, it's going to be our dot box for the box. And let me just close that over here. All right. So inside the box, I'm going to say this is going to be having, let's say, background color. And let's just choose this aqua. Okay. And I also want to have a height and width. Okay. So let's say I want to have height of 200 pixels and width of 100 pixels. X. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Okay, so let me just go ahead and save this file. I'm going to save this as test.html, save. All right, so let's go ahead and preview that in Chrome or any browser, it doesn't matter. So what happened was we have 4 different boxes and they're all just aligned straight one by one. Okay, so just to know where the first box ends and where the second box opens up, I just want to add a border radius. Okay, I think it's called corner radius. Now, if you don't know what to type here, corner, no, I think it's border radius. Okay, yes. So border radius. If you don't know what to type in here, then you can actually use the CSS designer here. Now, with old version of Dreamweaver, it was quite easier. We can just click on an edit button and it will show a window so that we can just add all these things. But with the newer version, you will have to go to this CSS designer. And there we have our styles, and I should be able to see my box there. Okay, so once I click on this, it's actually going to show us all the attributes that we can edit or modify for this guy. Okay, so let me just push this thing a little bit up so that we will have more space. Okay, that's it. So here I can choose whatever I want. So let's say this is my border radius. I'm going to lock this so that it will apply to all the 4 sides. And I'm going to change one of that, let's say 25 pixels. Okay, so that's border radius 25. So instead of writing it manually here, I can simply just graphically modify those things. And now let me just go ahead and save that file, save all, and hit preview here. Okay, so now I know where it is ending and where it is starting. That's fine. So what I did was I actually created a box which is going to have a height of 200 pixels and width of 100 pixels. Now what I want is I want the entire page width to be 1000 pixels. Okay, so I'll create a container on top of this. So this time let me just do it the old style. I'll go to insert and then we can also choose div. Now I'm showing you different methods so that you can just choose the one that you like. You can directly write, you can use the CSS designer, or you can also use the insert div tag. So that way also you can create all that thing. I can actually select all these guys and create the div tags so that I can say wrap around selection. So it's just going to encompass all these things inside. And I'm going to call this as container. And it's going to be a new CSS rule. It's going to be saved in this document only. Hit OK. And here it is. So all these features that we can use. So this container is going to have a box width of 1000 pixels. Okay. Float is going to be the same. And we want to give a margin of right auto and left auto so that it'll just maintain right in the middle. So height doesn't actually matter because it will just take the height of the rest of the things. Hit OK and click OK. All right. So now let's go ahead and we'll have to do one more thing here. For this box, I want to give float left. Then only it will just go in the straight line instead of going to the next line. Save all, and we're going to preview that in Chrome. There you go. Okay, so there is a container. Something else is happening. Oh, yes, now I understood. Okay, so the mistake was like the width has to be more than this. Okay, so um, as you can see, we have a total width of 1000 pixels for the container, right? So that's taking up from here all the way till here, probably. That is considering 1000 pixels. But I'm supposed to divide that 1000 pixels into 4 different pieces. So that would become 250 here. Okay, so 250 width. I gave 100. That is why I wasn't getting the result that I wanted. Anyways, so now you can see, yeah. So we have same space from left side to right side. That's the total width of the container. And then inside that we have 250 pixels, 250 pixels, 250 pixels, 250 pixels. So this is basically what we do. This is what we did for assignment 1, and that's the result. But the problem with this is, like, if I open the same website on a smaller screen, okay, so if I shrink this screen to a smaller size, it will go all the way to 1000 pixels. So till 1000 pixels, no problem. Okay, we can actually preview that if I press F12 using this thing. Okay, so if you make this smaller, and you can see up top here. Okay, so this area, you will see that there is the exact pixel size being shown. Okay, so it's 8,872, 890, 900, and as much as as long as we have 1000 pixels, no problem, everything is good. But when I have a screen size that is less than 1000 pixels, then my last frame or last div tag starts to disappear. Okay, so this is the actual problem. This is why we need to have our website responsive. So as long as you have a bigger screen size, no problem. Any screen size that is more than 1000 pixels, no problem. That is why you would have seen in the assignment description, it says the width of the website has to be 960 pixels. Okay, so that's the standard size for any monitor, so that it would fit into that monitor. But now that we have screens, different sizes screens, we have mobile phones, we cannot stay or stick to that size. So we had to make our website responsive. All right, so how do we fix this? Okay, so how do I make sure that my content or all the content is still showing in the screen, even if I have a smaller display? Okay, so for doing that, we have to change from pixels to percentage. Okay, so the container is 1000 pixels. So when I say 1000 pixels, if there's not 1000 pixels, or if there is less than that space, that content won't be visible. But if I say, instead of 100 pixels, 1000 pixels, if I say 95%, or let's say 100%, okay? So what it's going to do is, it is going to take the entire space. But that's not enough. We also have to do that for our box. Okay, so for the box width, instead of 250 pixels, I'm going to say 25%, because that's 1/4 of the entire space that we have. Okay, now even if I give 990 here, it's not going to affect this one, because this is 25% of the container. Okay, not 25% of the entire screen. Okay, so the 25% of what is above that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. File, save all, and I'm just going to go here and choose Google Chrome. There you go. So it's taking up 100%. So from the left end till the right end. And if I press F12, okay, so there you will see, no matter what size I have, it is automatically going to adjust to that. Okay, so you can see the percentage, the number of pixels up here. So even if it is more than 1000 pixels, or it is below 1000 pixels, it is still going to work the same way. So it's basically going to take the same amount of space from each of those areas. Okay, so so all we did was we changed from pixels to percentage. Okay, so this is our first step to understand how to create responsive websites. So don't give exact values, instead just give percentages, so that it will calculate based on the size or space that we have. It will adjust to the area that we have. Okay, so that's our first step. The second step is to create a website that is going to modify based on different different devices or different screen sizes, or change its layout based on different screen sizes. Okay, so that's the example that we have here. Okay, so here when we do this, we have to include something called media query. Okay, so as you can see, we have one box. We don't have any container here. Okay, and we have two sets of CSS for that. Okay, so this is also a box, and this is also box. Okay, so let me just preview this, see how this comes out. Okay, so that's the same thing. So 100% from left to the right. But if I press F12, and you can see that when it comes to the mobile version, instead of aligning it horizontally, it is going to align vertically. Okay, so why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do this? Any idea, anybody? Why not the previous one that I had? That itself was fine. It was just adjusting to the entire space. The reason is, like, when we have the previous one. Okay, so let me just open that up, not close it. Let me take it from here. When we have this method, when I make it too small, okay, the problem is 12. Okay, so the problem is the content inside each of those things will also become too small. So that makes it unreadable. Okay, so we won't be able to get or read whatever is inside that content when we have everything shrunken into such a small size. Okay, so in this method, what happens is when it shrinks too much, it is going to take the different layout so that we will still have the entire content visible clear. Okay, so what it'll do is it'll push the rest of the content below that, and so that we will be able to scroll down and see the size. Okay, so that's the reason why we have to do this. Now let me explain to you how this works. Okay, so this is the same thing that we had before from the previous example. So we have just the height and width. Width is being mentioned in terms of percentage, not in pixels. Okay, height is going to be percent in pixels because that's the absolute one. Does not have to adjust. It will adjust in terms of scrolling to have more content. Okay, so everything else remains the same, but here we are adding a new content called media query, and we're saying that this media query is going to apply to all, which means like it will apply to screens, it will apply to print media, it will apply to anything else that is going to be, that this content is going to be viewed as a web browser. Okay, so, and we also have another condition. Okay, so this content or everything that is inside this media query will function only when these two things are satisfied. Okay, so what is the second one? Second one says maximum width has to be 650 pixels. Okay, so if the maximum width of the screen is 650 or below, okay, so we can also give a minimum width, we can also give a maximum width and things like that. And if the maximum width is going to be 650, which means like it could also be less than that, okay, make the box width to be 100%. So from 25%, make it 100% if the width is this much. All right, so that's it. So we're saying normally have the width as 25%, but if it goes below the 650, we can also make it 700, anyway, anything you like, okay? If it goes below that value, then you have to choose width as 100%. Okay, so let's just preview that one more time. Okay, so let's go ahead and press F12. There we go. So watch what is the pixel value here. Okay, what is the width of the screen? So it's 424. So it's still in the vertical mode. And if I go just above 650, okay, watch here, 566, 600, 640, 644. Yes, there it is. So the moment it crossed 650, it would change to desktop mode. When it goes lower than that, it is going to stay with the mobile version. Okay, so that's it. So we're just saying that if it goes beyond a certain size, just change it to that. If it stays in the same, change it to this. That's it. So that is the second example. So I think it's a bit clear now how we can make it responsive and non-responsive. With the help of percentage instead of exact pixels, and with the help of media query to say or set a limit to change its features. Okay, so in this we can also add other stuff. For example, let's say in mobile version you want to have a different background color. Okay, so here it is aqua, that is bluish color. So let's change this to let's say background background color. Let's change it to something like dark blue or green. All right, so let's see what happens now. Let me just end that up. File, save all, and preview this in Chrome. All right, so that's the big size. Let's just press F12. There you go. Still the same. And if I go below 650, there it is. So now the color has changed, and it changed the layout as well. Okay, so we can change this from 650 to something else as well. Let's say, let's make this to be 750. Okay, file, save all, and go ahead and preview in Chrome. Okay, so now it's going to be, let's press F12. There you go. So let's go here, check. It's 570, 650, 661, still no change, right? It has to change. It's 750. So let's say 742, 748. There you go. So 751, we have the other mode. So we changed the color and we changed the orientation. So now it's taking up 100% of the space instead of just 25% of that space. All right. So any questions so far? Any questions, anybody? You can even write in the chat if you have any questions, okay? No questions. Okay, fine. So let's look at the third example. Okay, so this one is a little bit more complicated and has got a lot of other stuff as well. So generally, when we have more complicated web pages, instead of just having 4 boxes which need to be just aligned like that, we will have to create something called rows and columns. Okay, so let me show you in a simple way. Let me see if I can open Photoshop. All right, so the general rule is like when we have a website, we divide that into 12 equal parts. Okay, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, well, 10, and then we will have 2 more. So let's say 1 here and 1 here. Okay, so once we divide it like this, we can also group them. Okay, so when we divide it into 12, we also need to decide like what should be the length of one section. Okay, so let's take the calculator because we're all excellent in mathematics. The total length is going to be 100 pixels or 100%. From 100%, I'm going to divide that into 12. So that's going to be approximately 8.33. Okay, so each of the section is going to be 8.33. So generally what people do is like they make CSS codes or CSS rules for having different sizes of this columns or this partitions. Okay, so the first one is going to be like 8.3. So whenever I need this much of width, okay, anywhere, not just in the beginning, I can use that one. So this will become 1, and this will become 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth till 12. Okay, so the first one will be like 8.33, and the second one will be the total length of this. Okay, so that would be, let's get back to the calculator. Okay, so that would be 8.33 plus 8.33 or multiplied by 2. Okay, so that would be 16.66. So this second one would be 16.66. Okay, and the third one is going to be roughly 25 because that's 25%. So let's say 8.33 multiplied by 3, so that would be 24.99. So we can also consider it as 25. Okay, so 24.99 is going to be the exact size there. Okay, and like that, we have to measure all these things, and we can actually set different values for each of them. Okay, so I'll show you another example after we finish this work. I'll also introduce you to a nice friend where you can get help from if after this workshop, if you are not able to reach me. Okay, so there you will get better understanding of how this works. Okay, so in our example, let me just open this up and review it. Okay, so in our example, we have this top area, the header, which is taking up the entire space. So that's 100%. Okay, and then below that, we have 3 sections here. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. All right, and below that again we have a full space. So this is going to be 100%. This is going to be 100% width, but these guys are not 100% width, but they are different sections. So what I have done is here, I've made this to be 3 grid space or 3 spaces here. So this one, and this one, this entire space. Okay, so for the content section, so let me just draw it here in terms of a different color, let's say red. All right, so the header is going to be taking up the entire space, which is 100%. Okay, so that's going to be 100%. And the footer is also going to take the entire space. So that is again 100%. But the inside content has to be divided into different sections. Okay, so the first area, that is this menu area. So the menu area, I'm going to give just these 3 pieces. Okay, so let's say these 3 sections. Okay, which will come out to be roughly 25% or 24.99%. Okay, and even the last one. Okay, so this is also going to be 25%. So that's going to be the last 3 boxes here. This is not an accurate one, but you get the point. Okay, and the middle one is going to be the rest. Okay, so if this first one is 25 and the last one is 25, then the middle has to be how much? 50. Okay, so this will be 50%. This will be 25%, and this will be also 25%. Okay, so when we make the website design, okay, so we know the top one is going to be taking up 100%. Okay, so that's just 1 row. The whole thing is going to be in 1 row. And the second one, let me see if I can break that up for you. Okay, so this is going to be row 1. Okay, so 1 row that's going to take up this entire space. This is going to be the second row. Okay, so the second row is going to have not just 100%, but it's going to have 3 columns. Okay, so 1 column here, 1 column here, 1 column here. So the first column is going to be 25%, second column is going to be 50%, and third column is going to be 25% again. Okay, so 3 columns here. Okay, and just a single column up here and a single column down here as well. Okay, hope it makes sense. If it's not, just rewind the video, watch it again later. Okay, fine. So once we have this idea set up, we have a clarity on how this layout is going to be, then we can start designing our HTML and CSS. So let me just take the file outside, and we will start building it step by step. I'm going to take this guy and keep it over here. And we'll start building it from scratch. So let me go ahead and choose a new create. There you go. We have HTML and just a blank HTML, and we're going to start fresh. Okay, so first thing that I want to do is I want to create the header. Okay, so just to make things easier, instead of just writing the whole thing, I'm just going to copy and paste from here. So copy that and paste here. So that is the header div tag. Okay, we don't have any container or anything, just starting with the header. So we have the class header, and we have h1 here, just to make that text bigger. And we have end of h1, and then we have the end of header. So that's it. We also have CSS for that, just to create the background color, to define the width and height, all these things. Okay, so let me just go ahead and choose my CSS from here. I'm going to paste that as well. Now the CSS is going to be placed inside my head section. I also need to have style tag. Okay, so inside the style tag, we're going to paste the header. Something went wrong. Okay, it's TYL. Keep in mind, spelling mistakes are a major problem. We won't know what mistake we did where, but it won't work. Okay, so this is going to be our example 3, so I'll say x3, save that. So let me just preview that, and let's see what we get. There you go. So we have the header, okay, and it's taking up the entire space, and 100%. Right, that's it. We don't have any height or width here, because it's taking up the header space, and then it's just leaving space on the top and the bottom. I'm actually using a specific font for this website. Let's see if no, it's okay. So I'm using a specific font here. Now I am using it from Google's font collection. So for using that font, I will have to actually add a couple of links here. So I will add this guy just after the meta tag. So this is linking up Google's font, okay, and a certain type of font here. And that font I will apply to the entire website. So every text that is in my website is going to have this font. So for that, I'm actually adding up my body tag, body style, and I'm saying that font family is going to be Baloo 2, okay, and font size is going to be 22. That's just roughly for the content that I'm going to have. So file, save all, and for the header, I'm actually overriding it with the help of the h1, so it makes it bigger instead of just the same size. Okay, so save all, and I'm going to preview it here. So now you can see that I have my new font instead of the standard font that was there. All right, so next thing that we have to do is we have to create the row section. Okay, so let me just go inside here, and well, you can actually see. Okay, so this is our body. We finished a header. And the next thing that we have is the row section. So inside this row, now watch here. So inside the row, I have here something. If I select this, it will show me where it is ending. So column T1 menu, we need to understand what this column T1 is, okay? And we have column T2 here, and we have column T1 again. So remember I told you we have 3 sections. First one is going to be 25%, second one is going to be 50%, and third one is going to be 25% again. So you can relate to that here, which means T1 is going to be 25%, T1 again 25%, and T2 is going to be 50%. Okay, so how do we define this? How do we define T1 is going to be 25% and T2 is going to be 50%? So that's what is being done here with the help of Media Query. As you can see, this is for desktop. Okay, so in terms of Media Query, I'm saying that it's only applicable for screen, because we're going to use it only for screen, which means like when I print the same website, these conditions won't be applied. Keep that in mind. Okay, so minimum width is going to be 700 pixels, so that's bigger screen size. And I'm saying that column T1 is going to have a width of 24%. Okay, so it's actually 24.99. Okay, I'm just doing it roughly. I'm also adjusting it here slightly just to make some space there. Okay, so we'll experiment with different values. So T2 is going to be 41. That was actually having some padding and stuff like that, so I had to adjust between 50 to 41. So essentially, this is going to be 25%, and this is going to be 50% of that space. All right. So that's what we are defining there. So here it is T1 and then T2 and then T1 again. Now you can give any name here. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you have to give call T1 or something like that. Okay, but there are other things that are related to the same. So it's better to use this in case for now when you're practicing. But once you get an understanding, you can change those values as well. Now, for this row, this is starting from here and ending here, and it has these three columns. So the first one 25, second one 50, and then again third one 25. Okay. Now, the first one also has another class name here, that is menu. Okay, so that's basically defining this UL and LI, that is unordered list, and then list items, which is actually defining the menu system. So if you want to have more menu system, you can actually add more LI tags and things like that. And this also has CSS here. So if I go here, so there it is, UL, okay. And then we have ELI, menu LI. And this basically has got the color, background color of the box. It has got shadow information. So if you just add the shadow, you will have the shadow information. And we also have a hover. So when I move the mouse over, it should change, right? So that's the hover. So when I hover it, it changes the color. It also changes the background color of, color of the text and the background color as well. So when I add this this entire thing, I will have to add all those CSS, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so let me add this entire row. So that's starting from, oops. Okay, so that's starting from here and all the way till here. Yes, till here. So copy that, and we'll go to our space here. So next to header, and there it is. Okay, so everything that we have added here, we also need to add the CSS. So this row also has a CSS, which we missed out. Let me just take that back. Okay, so if I go up here, you will find, there it is. So row has got this double colon and after, which actually means that apply this to everything that is inside this, not just one object. Okay, so everything that is inside this content. Okay, so it says that content is going to be blank, so inside that, don't write anything. And then clear both. This is basically going to clear out any alignment that we've done. Okay, so like align float left or float right, if we have done, it's going to clear both of them, and it's going to be displaying in terms of a table format. Okay, so let me just take that from there. Okay, and then this is also going to be for all class names that has got COL. So if it is COL-T1 or if it is COL-T2, whatever you give for all those class names, these things will be applied. So this says float left. So this is for the inside contents, just to make sure that they are aligned in the same way. And we also have a padding so that it won't touch the other stuff. So I'm going to add this two things along with my menu. So I'll just start from here, from menu till this much. Copy. Go here to my CSS. Let me just push this out. Just after the header, I'm going to paste that. All right. So let's go to File, Save All, and preview here. So now we should have, yes, there it is. So we have the top and we have the menu here, and you can see that it's hovering. It has got shadows and things like that. And we have the next section, and then we have the rest of the things. This image is too big. We can actually make it smaller. It doesn't matter. Okay, so it's still not aligning to the size. So let's say what's going on. So 1, 2, 3. I think I have not copied the entire CSS for this whole thing. Maybe I'll just put it like that. All right. So we copied till here. Yes, so this one also is pending. Let me copy that code. All right, so this is basically the sidebar that we have, which basically has an image, and we are deciding how it's going to work in terms of the space that we have. File, save all, and preview that in Chrome. See if something works here in terms of width and height. No. All right, so why it is not aligning to the sides? Let's see. So we have this row copied from there. So the row is defined. Okay, I haven't set my media query yet. Okay, so that was missing. Okay, so we have told that we have all these different content. Okay, we have also created the entire HTML to work out well. Now, finally, we need to add this media query for desktop. So I'll say copy that, go here, and inside my CSS. Now, keep in mind, if you add something after the media query, it's going to give importance to that. Okay, so it's better to have the media queries at the end so that we will not be overwritten by any other content. Okay, so when this code is being run, it is actually going to start from the top. It's going to run all these things through the bottom. Okay, so always add media queries at the end. Okay, so that we will have the media queries processed at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and file, save all. Let's preview that. There you go. So now we have it in our landscape mode. Okay, so instead of going straight down, it is actually being aligned like that. All right, let me just give it a try, just to avoid this space. I actually created this last minute yesterday, so I didn't have enough time to bug fixing all that thing. So let's try 24.99 here, and for 50, it's going to be 6, right? So let me do a little calculation here. 8.33 multiplied by 6, so that would be how much? 99.98. Sorry, what? 49.9. 49.9. Let's give it a try. File, save all, and review that. Okay, no, it didn't work. So I'll have to make this 99 maybe. File, save all. Let's play that out. Still no. Maybe I'll just try to remove this padding for this guy. That side has a 15 pixels padding. Let me see, file, save all. Still no. Okay, so I'll have to adjust this one only. So I'll say 24, 49. So that's like 1% for both sides. Still, I think 45%. File, save all. Yeah, there it is. I think this gap could be justified by this. Okay, so we need to do some little more bug fixing in terms of fixing that there. Okay, so let's just add up the last step. That is going to be adding up our footer. And let's go here. So there's the footer, which has got just some text content. copy that, add that to my HTML. Keep in mind, when you work on your project, you have to have a separate CSS file. So make sure that you copy and paste the CSS into the CSS file and HTML into the HTML space. All right, so for the footer, we have color, background color, text color, and things like that. I'll copy that, go here and paste that CSS as well, just after the aside. All right. And finally, we need to say the media query feature for the mobile phone. Okay, so that's going to be the rest of it. Okay, so for mobile phone, I'm saying that all classes the width is going to be 100%. Okay, so unless you have a minimum width of 700 or more, you will have the total width is going to be 100%. So all columns. Okay, so all columns are going to be 100% if it is not about 700. So I'll go here, paste that. Okay, but notice that I'm pasting it above the desktop. Okay, because this is going to be the last one to be processed. This is going to be the first one to be processed. So what it's going to do is it's going to assign everything to be 100%, and then it's going to check if it is a desktop or not. Okay, if it is a desktop, make it 24 and 45. Okay, that's it. I'll go to File, Save All, and Google Chrome. There you go. I think I'll have to do a little bit more adjustment here. And then let's say if I go to press F12, okay, so there it is. So now we have a mobile version of the same. Okay, so when I make it bigger, it's going to fit into the bigger size. When it goes below how much? 700, right? So let's see. 728, 708, 703, yes. So when it goes to 696, as you can see, it switches to a mobile version. Okay, when it goes beyond that, it's going to be a desktop version. Okay, so we still have a little issues in terms of this guy, so we'll have to adjust the percentage for that as well. All right. So I think that's it for today. And I'll just introduce you to a very nice website, okay? So most of you know this. It's called w3schools.com. So any question that you have about CSS, responsive website, anything that you have, you can actually find the information from here. So for example, if I say responsive web design, okay, I basically took this, this sample that I'm showing you from this website only. Okay, so if I go down, you see this is a design basically for 3 different screens. So one for desktop, one for tablet, and one for mobile phone. So all 3 of them stays here. So you can see that the layout, what we have is going to be same as what is here. So here's the best part. If you want to experiment out with these values, okay, so you can simply click on this, try it yourself. Okay, so it'll give you a code here and it will give you the final preview here. Okay, so you can test it out, see how that works. Okay, and then you will also be able to adjust that as well. So you can make changes here and you will see the end result showing up immediately. And in this example, you can see that we have basically all these 12 columns that I was talking about. So starting with 8.33% and 16.66, 25, and things like that. So in our example, what I did was I have taken only the 25% and the 50%. Okay, so that's why that's the kind of result that we got. But you can actually experiment with all these different sizes and you can use them based on wherever you need, based on this column number that is given. So we had like T1 and T2. You can have different column numbers and you can work based on that as well. Now, if you want to try out like other stuff, let's say if how do I minimize this? Okay, you can also try out different things like viewports. Okay, you can try out things like images. You can have images that can be resizing automatically according to that. You can also try it yourself, make changes, experiment out. So you can see that we have height of a certain pixels and width of 100%. So if it's a fixed size of 400 pixels, it's going to stick to that, okay, instead of taking the width of 100% and things like that. So you can just change these values and see how that results. So if I just take that out and say hit run, and I should get a total different result. Okay, so oops, height of how much was it? 400, right? Let's try 600 pixels. So you can experiment out, you can get different results according to that. Okay, so this is a very nice website. You can learn a lot of things from here. You can also have videos. There's also templates you can play with. Okay, so there's lots of responsive templates and all. You can try them out, see the demo, and you can also search for other stuff. Anything that you don't understand from CSS, you can search from here, get sample files as well. Okay, so that's it for the workshop. If you guys have any questions, you are free to ask.